Before the coronavirus ended fun itself earlier in 2020, I hope basketball fans around the world were enjoying watching my favorite team of the prematurely shortened season, the New Orleans Pelicans. I'm not even going to get into how ridiculous Zion Williamson is in this video. Instead, I'm going to analyze another member of the team's young core, Lonzo Ball. Lonzo was in the midst of his best season to date, driven almost entirely by one difference from previous seasons: his newfound ability to shoot three-pointers consistently. Last summer, likely realizing that his very ability to contribute to a team in the NBA was under threat, Lonzo took the bold step of rebuilding his shooting technique. If you follow the NBA at all, you've probably seen the new product of that change, which I'm showing you right now. So what exactly did he change? What did his shooting coach tell him to think about in order to make that change? And why has this change translated to such immediate success on the court? The most simple way to describe the technique change is a relocation of Lonzo's set point. Remember, the set point is the location of the ball at the moment that it stops moving up and towards the player's head and starts moving forward and away from their head. Lonzo's old shot included a set point located well off the center line of his head. In fact, Lonzo had one of the most extreme left off-center shots that we've ever seen in the NBA, and this led to his funky-looking shot. But what was the biggest structural problem with this technique? Why did it lead to inconsistent results on the court? I'd say it was because this set point location off to the left of his head forced a significant clockwise rotation of the ball in between the set point and the release point in Lonzo's shot. As you can see, at his set point, the lines on the ball are vertical. By the time the ball reaches his release point, you can see that the lines are now nearly horizontal. This means that the ball has rotated about 90 degrees in this short distance. So why is this large amount of rotation bad? Well, the answer is that it makes the motion less repeatable in a precise manner, which is the key to consistent shooting. By rotating the ball this much during this portion of the shot, Lonzo introduced left to right momentum into his pushing of the ball towards the rim, which he then had to offset by having his release hand off the center of the ball, but this time on the right side, to counteract that left to right force. In essence, every shot he took was a delicate balancing act between those two forces, which undoubtedly led to inconsistency. So what's the best way to get rid of this unnecessary balancing act? The answer seems simple. Just don't rotate the ball so drastically in between your set point and your release point. And of course, to avoid this, you would simply bring your set point more over to the right, somewhere in between, say, the middle of your face and somewhere slightly off to the right side of it. Okay, so maybe we can't all be as perfect as Klay Thompson in this regard. Maybe your hands aren't big enough to control the ball while shooting exactly like this, or maybe your shoulder and elbow aren't comfortable in this position. But regardless of these slight discrepancies between individuals, I have no doubt that everyone can at least get their set point in line with the center of their face at the very least, or somewhere around that area. In fact, that's what I recommend to all shooters, regardless of their age. And that's exactly what Lonzo tried to do. His coach probably instructed him to consciously bring the ball up towards his face instead of somewhere off to the left side of it like he used to do. And with enough practice over just one summer, such a fundamental change quickly became natural for him. And before you knew it, Lonzo had developed into a near knockdown three-point shooter. To be sure, there are other factors involved in the general improvement in his game. For example, Lonzo simply could not pull up to shoot while driving aggressively to his right because of the incredibly awkward momentum shifts involved in attempting such a shot. This limited a whole aspect of his game as a threat to score, as a ball handler navigating screens at the top of the key. But for sure, the change in technique has increased his consistency while shooting wide open threes, but has also helped him to develop other aspects of his game. And also, as an aside, Lonzo is still a bad free throw shooter. But that's a topic for another video, and I'm happily going to cover that in the future. Finally, I just have to call out Luke Walton for hurting Lonzo's career by adopting this attitude towards shooting technique when Lonzo was his player at the Lakers. Who's looking silly now, Luke? I hope you enjoyed hearing my thoughts on this really positive development for Lonzo. Stay tuned for more.